Hello, 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 hello. Mystic Princess here again, coming back to you with another pick a card reading. And today we're going to be looking at marriage and who might be experiencing marriage and who might they be marrying. So I've got 4 piles here. I'm going to give you a moment to kind of think about the piles and which ones you're drawn to. As normal, I'm not a psychic. I can't tell you your future. But what I can do is present you with a deck of cards, tell you the story from the cards. You and the cards do all the hard work. If it resonates with you, brilliant. If it doesn't, let it go and take what does. All good intentions here, all positive. Just use this for positive, good intentions and spreading good vibes. Okay. So as I said, there's 4 piles here. Let me give you a moment to think about those piles and which one you either feel drawn to or just decide that you're going to enjoy a reading of today. I will be back with you in a moment. Great, so for those of you that chose the first pile, Tiger's Eye, here is the crystal for you. Here are your cards. Let me give them a shuffle. I don't do any fancy shuffling, guys. It's not something I've been able to master, so I do apologise if anybody's dissatisfied by that. So let us begin. So I think I'm going to lay them out first. And then we'll take it from there, okay? Put it a little bit like this. It's a little bit like a heart, because that is what we're talking about today. So let's start here in the middle, because this is the middle of the heart, the root of what's going on at the moment. So I'll say straight off, we've got quite a lot of fire and air energy on this board. A little bit of water, but it's mostly dominated by fire and air. This card at the root here, this could be somebody, you know, this story could apply to a Leo, or this could involve somebody you know that's a Leo, or a Leo coming into somebody's life, because this is the card that represents Leo. This is also, as you can see, the strength card. So we're in a period of somebody's life where they could be needing to show resilience, or they could be needing to go the extra mile on something at the moment. But actually, I think looking at the fire and air type of energy that we've got going on here, I think we're probably looking at a Leo. So we're either looking at a Leo who's going to be lucky enough to have somebody come into their life, or not come into their life, because we're talking about marriage here, aren't we? So I would presume, unless we've got a whirlwind romance, but again, I'll get a feeling for that as time goes on. I would presume this is somebody that's already in somebody's life. So I think we're probably talking about a Leo here. Either a Leo's going to be on one side of this marriage, I think, or involved in it in some way. As I say, there's a lot of air going on here, so we could be talking about a fire. We've got the Magician here as well. We could be talking about a fire and air pairing. There's a lot of intelligent wit, a lot of manifestation, achievement. This is the spread of abundance in terms of people that know how to tap into the right vibe in life. So at the heart of the matter is this here. So we are talking about resilience, strength. A Leo is at the root of this. If if you're not a Leo, or you've not got a Leo in your life that you're hoping you may marry, a Leo might be instrumental in instigating that, either by setting somebody up on a date, or helping with wedding arrangements, that sort of thing. But there is a very strong Leo presence in this reading, and there's a very strong air presence as well. So if we move on from the heart of the matter, and where we want to start to look is recent developments. For that, we've got the Three of Swords. So the Three of Swords is quite a disruptive sort of card. So something recently has happened to upset the apple cart. There's been some sort of disruption, perhaps perhaps incompatibility has become obvious. So something that may have been, there's been a lot of strength shown to try and make something work, but it's just not. It's just not happening, and at some point, that needs to be faced. So somebody is they've faced up to that, and that's caused disruption in the normal world. So the normal world has been disturbed, unfortunately. And however much resilience this person is showing, it's not enough to kind of combat that. So we've still had this disruption. I don't know if it's come to a position where somebody's just decided to go or whatever, because we've then moved from this disruption, kind of took a step back, if you like, to come into a place of kind of conformity. So we've come into a place where we're just like, oh whatever, whatever, what's going to be is going to be. And we've kind of come into a sort of, I want to say stuck in a rut, but it's not that serious. It's more kind of a comfort. Come to a place of, well, this is, this is what it is. Better the situation you're in, perhaps. Not sure what might be elsewhere. Yes, things have been disrupted. Yes, I've realised we're not, perhaps compatible, but this is our life, essentially. I'm just looking at this for a minute, because I feel like what I'm saying isn't that positive, but yet I don't feel it's that negative a spread. But it kind of, yeah. I mean, this is somebody they've worked hard. This is somebody who's been in a position where they've had to show a lot of resilience. I'm still getting an air and fire pairing. I'm still getting that. And the air is quite dominant here. So whether this person, the fire person, has felt overwhelmed in this relationship, because what I'm getting here is that somebody, they've seen their eyes have been opened. However, they've remained hopeful and they've stayed in the normal world. They've tried to manifest something better for themselves in terms of trying to improve the relationship. But at the moment, they're not seeing what they need to see from that. I'm just going to pull a Goddess card. See if that tells me anything about one of the people that we're looking at here. Oh, so that jumped, so we'll take that one. Okay, yeah. So we're looking at somebody that either has or needs to start working and exerting their self-esteem, which plays into this feeling of, okay, well, it is what it is, you know, it could be worse, it's not that bad. I mean, what I'm kind of getting is that, let me just pull an oracle card. Okay. So, and that's what I was beginning to feel as well. So, I think this is the ordinary world, if you like. It's this sense of, this is what it is. It's not bad. I mean, this isn't bad. We're not talking about somebody who's been mistreated, but we're talking about somebody that's hopeful for the potential of a different type of relationship that perhaps isn't existing here, and a little bit of self-esteem is going to release the beauty in this relationship. So I don't think that any hope is lost here. I think that this is something that's going to start to release its own sort of beauty. I think we've got somebody here that may be a bit jaded. They may be in that position where they're thinking, when will you propose? When are we getting married? Is this going to happen? And they've kind of got stuck into that rut, waiting for that, instead of seeing the beauty in the relationship that they're in. So I think this person is going to change their way of seeing things, and they're possibly going to start seeing the light in their relationship. So I think if there's a marriage coming here, it's coming to an existing relationship, and I think it's coming. We're talking about a fire and an air pairing, which is usually a really dynamic duo, which is why I'm quite surprised by this. this settled sort of energy, because that's usually a much more earthy type of environment. But I do think that there is a happy ending here, I think, but I think you have to look for it, and I think you'll have to work at it. Whoever's story this isn't an unpleasant place to be at all. But when you're talking about fire and air signs particularly, they like to live a little bit outside the ordinary sometimes. They are looking for that spark. They are looking for that gust to lift them up. And perhaps at the moment they're not feeling that. Yeah, I think there's a lot of air here. So I'm not even sure if there maybe isn't another person involved. This is confusing to me, I'll be honest with you. This one has stumped me a little bit. I don't think, like I said, I don't think this is an unpleasant place for somebody to be at all. But I do think it's a little going through the motions. And if this is fire and air, they're not about that. So I think a little bit of change, pushing forward with a bit of self-esteem. It's going to release the beauty in this relationship. And we're going to see a little bit more sparks flying, but in a good way. And then we'll start to see a soulmate bond. Let me pull one more to see who gives me anything else. The Chariot. Yep. So we're looking at balance, that's really interesting, because I think I've made a few comments in this reading, haven't I? About the domination, not the domination, I don't want to use that word, but where the balance is on the air. I felt there was a lot of air in this reading, and this is showing me that actually is going to start to balance out a bit. It's going to start to balance out a bit. This, actually, I would probably put over here. If you can see that. Let me move these over. It's going to start to balance out a bit, and as a result, things are going to move forward, and they're going to charge forward at quite a pace now. And I mean, this changes this completely. So I think there's going to be a little bit of awakening in terms of what each person wants, and I think as a result, if I was to pull this, I think a few months down the line, I think we'd probably see less swords. I mean, there is love here. We've got the red rose here. There is, I don't want to say one person's dominating the other, because that's negative, and that wasn't what I meant. I just meant there was a heavy balance on air energy. But the Chariot here is showing me that that's actually going to balance out more equally in terms of this relationship, which actually, because I said to you, it was quite a level relationship, so it was quite balanced anyway. But it's more going to be more favourably so. And with the help of Amaterasu, I think I pronounced that, with the help of this increased self-esteem, this relationship is going to progress and move forward at quite a pace. And that's where we might start to see the wedding bells. So if you picked card number 1, Tiger Eye, this is your story for today. As I said to you, I'm not a psychic. I can't tell your future, and I can't tell your story, but I can tell you a story from some cards. Take with it what resonates, as long as it's positive. So let me move on to pile number 2. Okay, so apologies if these are out of order, guys. In terms of what you might have originally seen in the lineup, I will be doing them all, but I may not be doing them in the same order because I don't always remember what that was. But they are the same piles with the same stones, so there's been no mix up there. So if you chose amethyst, then this is your pile. This is your crystal. And this is going to be your reading for today. So I'm going to read you a story with the pile that you felt most drawn to. Take it as it resonates, as long as it's good. It's just a story with some cards. So I'm going to lay them out first. Somebody's had some choices to make. Okay. Let me just take this in for a moment. Okay, so at the root of the situation here, we have somebody that feels that maybe they've had to abandon their own, I'm trying to think of the word, they've had to let go of something, or loosen their grasp a little bit. I mean, I've got, again, like the last reading, we've got a lot of air and fire energy. Actually, I won't say a lot, but we've got air and fire energy on the board. We've got possibly 2. I don't know if somebody's had a choice between 2 suitors. Perhaps between an air and a fire sign. I don't know, I think I'm getting maybe Gemini, Leo, Taurus. I can see Gemini, Leo, Taurus energies in this reading, if that resonates with anybody at all. We've gone from somewhere where somebody feels, you know, maybe they're not getting everything that they really wanted out of something, to feeling like they really were. But we do have some secrets here. We do have perhaps something hidden, some hidden knowledge, and like I say, I think, and I don't want to start accusing anybody of anything, but I think there might be a choice between 2 suitors. Either a literal choice, whereas somebody is aware that, you know, that they have an option, or somebody might not be aware of it, might not be aware of the interest in them. But I think that there are some secrets here, or there is some hidden knowledge. So it could be that somebody's pretending not to notice, in fact, whilst they're kind of summing up their options. This person will be triumphant in this. So that I'm getting that they're both very viable candidates for marriage. They're both people that, you know, that are very attractive in that way. But there's something about this person that would have the edge. So, I mean, we're talking fire and air here, so I don't know if this person is literally kind of winning over this person. You know, and this person might think, I don't think this person is as committed, perhaps. They're interested, yeah, but they're not sure about the fight, essentially. They're not sure about kind of stepping outside of their. They just want to either win you over or not. They don't really want to be competing with other people. Whereas this person's all about that. They're like, bring it on, and I will be triumphant. And I think that they are in the end. But like I said, there's a lot of success here. And I am seeing, I mean, you've got 4 or 5 signs here, I think. You've got a Gemini, a Leo, a Taurus, maybe even an Aries, but I'd stick with Gemini, Leo and Taurus. There's a lot going on. I'll be honest with you. There is a lot going on. This is why I also think this is probably a fire sign's life that we're talking about here at the heart of it, because there's a lot of cups there, but yet still they felt unfulfilled, like they were letting go of something. And they've had quite a bit of luck. They've got a choice of at least 2 suitors, and there's some secrets. So there is a lot going on here. It's probably quite exciting for somebody to live this life, or perhaps if you know somebody who lives this kind of life, you might find that exciting. Or if you're a little bit more subdued, you might find it a little bit chaotic and wonder how they cope. But actually for them, it's not that unusual, and they're actually feeling like things are a little bit quiet. But I would say that we're looking at a kind of, in terms of marriage, I think we're looking at somebody with a very dynamic nature. We're looking at a go-getter kind of person. That will be successful in putting a ring on it, and that's what I think we're looking at here. Although there will be some back and forth possibly in the decision making, but again, that's probably going to seem more chaotic to people on looking at it than it is to the people involved. Because anybody in this is how it goes for them. This is not sort of tumultuous at all. I mean, I'm smiling as I say this because this is it's quite entertaining. It's quite an entertaining situation. You know, nobody's suffering here at all. Somebody's feeling a little bit bored. But there's nothing boring going on around them, which is also why I know that we're talking about somebody here that's a very vibrant person, and that would make sense why the eventual choice would be somebody also vibrant. Because I mean, look at this. you know, the colours they're wearing. You've got the little flames going up around them, the way they're stood, the shade of gold in their hair. There's something about the poise on their smile. Whereas this is great, you know, there's nothing wrong with this, but it's a different type of energy. And, you know, we're talking about somebody who likes to live like this. And has, you know, knows things about themselves that only they know. So I think this might be a little bit too this type of energy doesn't kind of bode well with the rest of it. It'll fit in, but they're not about secrets or hidden knowledge, and they like to seek them out. They like to seek that sort of thing out and expose it, or debunk it, if you like. But they're not about protecting it. So whereas this sort of energy fits into this picture really well. So I think if this was me and this resonated with me, one, I'd be quite happy and excited because this is, you know, something to talk about. But two, I would be thinking, okay, yeah, I can see how this person might fit into this life, and I can see that coming. So that's what I would kind of be thinking. So let me actually pull. I don't really need it with this one because this is all pretty. Sorry, this is all pretty clear cut. But I'm just going to pull a goddess card to see what sort of spiritual energy we're dealing with. Okay, so yeah, Lakshmi, prosperity. So again, as you know, if you were to put that there, yeah, okay. Let me move these over. But here, the flow is much more, yeah, you know, this person here is similar sort of energy, just perhaps a little bit more mature. So if I hold this up, you know, they're dancing, there's a lot of fiery, vibrant sort of dynamic energy coming in there, and prosperity. So again, we're over here in this sort of area. All of the cups, but not quite feeling fulfilled. The world at your fingertips. Who are you going to share it with? Let me pull an oracle card and see if that will tell us any more. Oh, that jumped. Ah, yeah. So family and tribe. So, yeah, I mean, we're talking about people of the same ilk, essentially. So who's going to fit into this way of life the best? And looking at this, it's very much, I mean, if I was to move that, it all sort of flows. If I was to move this, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's okay. But in this story, I think we're very much looking at a tale of two suitors. And, you know, a choice is going to be made. But the eventual marriage will be with somebody who fits in. It's going to be very prosperous, and it's going to be somebody that fits in with this initial person's way of life, with their family, with their friends, with their values, and not be out of place in that. And I think you're looking air or fire, probably fire. So if you picked the amethyst, then that was your story for the day. For those that felt drawn towards the lapis lazuli, oh, bear with me, sorry. Okay, the lapis lazuli crystal. It's very pretty. Then this story is being read for you. Just going to give the cards a shuffle. Oh, 2 jumpers there. Okay, so we're seeing a lot of air and fire today. We've got a hint of earth in this one. And again, I think we might have a choice of 2 bows or 2 suitors. I don't know. Oh, move these about to leave room on this side. So if I pull some more. Okay. So at the heart of this, we've got possibly an Aquarian. But we've got somebody who's very knowledgeable, likes to share that knowledge and teach to other people. Very humanitarian. They're a bright light, if you like, just like a star. So let me hold this up to you. If you can see that. And that's very obvious, and they're at the heart of this story. They may be a little bit eccentric, a little bit non-conformist. Somebody who marches to the beat of their own drum, essentially, which, as you can see, may be why they have 2 very different suitors this time, I might add. But there's a lot of fire energy, some earth energy, fire, earth and air, I would say very much in this reading. There may be somebody who's more mature in their life, more mature and established, but with a sharp wit, versus somebody who's more starting out on their journey, more materialistic, and wants to build some firm foundations for the future. It's not an obvious pairing, I would suggest, for somebody like this who's clearly very off the beaten track. It's, you know, I mean, if you put this is somebody who's having to choose between 2 people. That's 2 very different people. It's a far from the madding crowd type of situation, or a Twilight type of situation, if you like. But what you've got is somebody here who may be a bit bohemian, definitely eclectic, very, very clever, but not outwardly so. So you've got a balance of kind of smarts, but not maybe possibly not that knowledgeable in everyday affairs, but able to grasp some really, really, you know, complex concepts. And they like to learn stuff, they like to research stuff, they like to study stuff. And they're faced with the choice between somebody kind of who has been similar to them at one point in their life, but is much further down that path, and somebody else who isn't similar to them in their interests, but is much more similar to them in the place that they are in life. So it's it's a choice here, very much so. In terms of who they will marry, I mean, they're going to get security from both of these people. But I think they like security, but also they're really yearning for mental stimulation and satisfaction in that regard. But they're going to get different things from these two people, and it's going to satisfy different elements of their personality. Let me pull a goddess card to see what sort of goddess, female, icon energy we may have flowing through this story. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Boudica, unity. So we might even have here, and I did say that this person is eccentric and off the beaten path and non-conformist. So we might have here somebody who doesn't make a choice. I mean, we're living in a modern world. It's not always the case that you do need to make a choice between two people. This person is very much about, humanitarianism, uniting people. So that's not unexpected to see that sort of energy. But what you might see, you might see a unity there. Or, I mean, this is very airy energy. So if these two paired up, I just think this person is would struggle to commit and make a decision. They know what they want in their mind, but telling you what it is, they just want to go with the flow. They really do. They just want to go with the flow and for everybody to be happy and everybody to get on. And if they have to avoid making a decision and just letting, ironically, the cards play out how they will, they'll do that. They will do that. I mean, you do have some more coin energy here. I'm just going to pull an oracle card. It's really hard with these type of people because they're just going to do, oh, that jumped. Let's look at that. Self-love. Okay, so yeah, I mean this person is happy on their own or with somebody. If they're with somebody, then it might not be a conventional relationship. If there's a marriage, it may not be a traditional marriage in the way that we know. And they're perfectly happy and content in themselves in that decision. This is how they feel about themselves. So if I put that there, this is very much how they feel about themselves. They don't really care what you or anybody else thinks about this. As long as they're happy and everybody's happy, everything's good. Essentially, this is a very relaxed type of environment. They feel like if people stick around, they stick around. But I think if there's a marriage here, it will be an unconventional marriage. it'll be a marriage of minds. It won't be what we're used to seeing. But it will be pleasant for everybody involved. So let me move on to my next reading. So my fourth and final reading for the day is for those of you who chose this pile with the Donglin Jade. Hold it up for you. Nearly chopped it again there, butterfingers. So as always, I'm just reading a story from some cards. Take it as it resonates, as long as it's good. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so what we've got here is somebody, as you can see, this is quite an abundant sort of situation, quite a lavish type of scenario. It's not all rosy though, but then nothing ever is. But we've got at the heart of the matter, we have a situation where somebody has just had some sort of rebirth or renewal, or reaped the benefits of something that they've been doing, perhaps. Yeah, because as you can see, these people are frolicking in the sun, they're quite happy. So somebody's hard work has come into fruition. And you can see this person down here, you know, has been working for that. They love that. This person's really happy with the jewels that they're wearing and the gold coin that they're holding in their hands. And who wouldn't be? You know, they look beautiful. There's lots of cups. Cups are overflowing. But there's a lot of emotions here as well. We've got a little bit of a little air and fire influence. Not much. A little bit more water than that. So we might be looking at a water sign. I'd say an earth-water sign pairing is what we're probably looking at here. I'm kind of getting that energy. This is, I mean, like I said here, we've had somebody who's gone through a bit of an evolution or rebirth. They're in a really content place. This is sunny times. There has been some disruption. There has been some disruption, but it hasn't spilt the cups, if you like. So the cups are still very much they're still a dreamer. They've still got their dreams. They still know how they want things to go down. That there has been an unfortunate incident or disruption that has caused some discomfort and loss, but in the long run it can be worked out. So, but what I'm not seeing I don't know if this person's got room in their life for somebody else, because they've got so much abundance and they're coping with their own stuff. I think what they do need is emotional support. So they need somebody who's able to come into their life. They've got everything they need. Materialistic, they've got everything they need. They, you know, material wise, they don't need necessarily anybody that's successful in that fashion that they can set them up. But what they do need is emotional support. They're filling up their own cups, but they do perhaps need somebody to maybe benefit from that with them, or to help them in these sorts of scenarios. They need somebody else, essentially. They don't need them for anything that they can provide them with, but they would like a mate. Let's see how. I'm just going to pull a goddess card on this one. See what sort of goddess energy we have coming into play here, because I can't see somebody coming. I can see what this person wants. I can see the gap in their life that could be filled, but not like the other cards where I could see, you know, this person, that gap. There's a question mark over who that marriage would be. I can't see any viable suitors at the moment. Faith. So Joan of Arc, as we know her. Let me hold that up. So we've got a very opulent person here that should have faith that somebody will come. This person doesn't need to settle for anybody. Like I said to you, they filled up their own cups. They're now having a period of rebirth, and they're reveling in the harvest of what they've sown, if you like. But like everybody, they do experience disruption to their life, and it would be nice to have somebody to weather those storms with you. So when the tower's falling, and you take shelter, it's not always nice to be there on your own. But I can't see anybody. Let me pull an oracle card and see if that tells me any more, because I just see the gap. It's just it's a blank space, if you like. Right, okay. So if I put that there, straight away you can see what's going on here. So this person doesn't actually have room for anybody else, because of what they've achieved in life. There's also a lot of vanity involved here. Yes, this person's rebirthed themselves, and I think as a result some of this is going to be lost, and they're moving away from this, which I think will then open them up on a path and a journey, to leave an avenue for somebody to come in. But this is a work in progress. So once they break this down a little bit, and I mean, that's just so, isn't it? So there's no room for somebody at the moment, which is why there's no suitor here, or there hasn't been any room. But we're going through a rebirth. I think this might have actually been the rebirth. I think this person has reborn themselves from something where they wanted to put themselves in a position where they wouldn't experience or wouldn't be impacted the same way from an experience that they've had in the past. But as a result, it's made them a proud person, and they need to move back to finding a little bit more faith than pride. Pride they call the cardinal sin because they say it's the sin from which all other sins derive from. It doesn't sound like it would be something that's bad. When you say it like vanity, it sounds a little bit more negative, but when you use the word pride, it doesn't sound as negative. And you know, sometimes it's necessary to have faith in yourself in that way, but also there is sometimes a time in your life to bring the walls down and let somebody else in, and I think in this person's life at the moment, I just don't think there's room for that. I just don't think there's room for somebody else. I don't think they need anybody else. I think they're concentrating on themselves, which is something that they felt that they need to do. Once they've completed that cycle, I think then there might be space for somebody else. But at the moment, this is something that somebody's needed to do. It's a journey that somebody's needed to go on, and they needed to go on it with themselves and concentrate on themselves. I think if we were to pull something like this in a few months' time, it may look a little different. I'm not sure if this isn't somebody who's very busy also presenting themselves to the world. If they've not made some sort of business in how they present themselves, and it's very hard for them to find time for somebody else to come into that. It will happen eventually, but it's not happening now. So but this isn't a bad place to be, by the way, at all. It's just the reading was about who will you marry, and in this one it just wasn't quite clear yet, but they had plenty of other stuff going on. So okay, so that's our reading for today. Please hit the subscribe button, which will be down, up, I'm not sure, but subscribe to my channel if you want to hear more readings, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you. Good vibes only, always. Bye bye.